Thank you for joining us on this week on Vote for Vermont. This is part of our candidate series, so getting to know some of the candidates that are running around the state and who they are, what they're running for, and what issues they're running on. So today we have, I'm going to get your last name wrong, but it's Richard Lenchus. Is that correct?
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. I only practiced that in front of a mirror 5 times. So, well, this is one of our shorter format shows to kind of get to know some of the local candidates here. So the first thing we always ask is for our guests to tell us a little bit about you. So Rick, what's, in a couple minutes, what makes you tick? Why are you, this is something that you're interested in doing, running for office?
Well, actually, I'm an architect, and I'm not a politician. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. That's why I'm running under the independent ticket. I'm one man. I don't have a team. I don't have people knocking on doors. I just got you and me, and the people who are watching this show. The thing is, I'm the common working guy. I work in construction. I work building schools for kids from pre-K all the way up to high school. And I noticed things. As an architect, we study what they call American Disabilities Act. So what I noticed in the schools is when the inspectors go by, they say, "Where's the braille on the elevator?" So what do you mean? They said, "Well, what if the kid is blind? How's he going to know that that's the elevator? Or what floor he's going to? Or what bathroom he's in? He may walk into a woman's bathroom. That might be embarrassing. Or what if there's a fire? How does he know where the exits are?" Ah, makes sense. He says, "What if the kid is deaf? We have a light that flashes. That means the kid's got a text. So it might be his mother, it might be the principal, but the kid's got to run over there because it might be an emergency. And what if the kid is handicapped? A lot of schools don't even have wheelchair accessibility, and the doors swing the wrong way. Sometimes the doors are too tight for a wheelchair to get through. Think about it. If you're in a wheelchair trying to get in, what do? Push it with your foot to hold the door open and then go ahead and wheel? It's crazy. And the bathrooms, the handicapped bathrooms are all designed, well, they were all designed wrong. There's a special distance between a door frame and a sink that has to be at least 12 to 18 inches for a chair to get into the sink, because the handicapped person has to go under a sink and he has to use pedals to turn on the water, hot and cold. There's a lot of things that people don't know. They don't know how the mirror is supposed to be. It has to be on an angle for a handicapped person to be able to comb their hair or whatever they're going to do. So those are some of the things I'm talking about. And I'm talking about wounded warriors. I was in the Marine Corps. I went through Paris Island. I came out as the most outstanding Marine with my dress blues and my stripes. And I became a jet plane captain during the Vietnam War. So I know a little bit about what it's like to be disciplined and in taking orders and marching to the tune. And I'm a proud Marine. I'm also a worshipful master in the Masons. I worked my way up from nobody, just a master Mason, all the way up to the top worshipful master. And now I'm a retired worshipful master. I'm also one of the founding fathers, recognized pioneer of American martial arts. I came here and I started teaching karate. One of the kids in my class who wrote a movie, and he ran up to my wife and I said, "Hey, I just wrote a movie and you're in it." I said, "Yeah, what did I do?" Did I call it the Karate Kid? Guy Cobra Kai, that's you. Mm-hmm. And they asked my son, "Is that a good representation?" And my son said, "Oh no, my father is much worse than that." But getting back to it, I want to work with the veterans that are coming back. I know when I came back, I was treated like hell. I want to work with the veterans, the wounded warriors, because I belong to the wounded warriors. I want to work with, uh, this is, maybe I shouldn't say it, but as a Marine, a proud Marine, and the devil I'm no sucker and I'm no loser. I was there. So a lot of Marines feel that. But going back to what I was saying, I want to work with the disabled people, the nursing home. My wife is disabled for 20 years in a hospital bed. We're a caregiver day and night. And the only thing is, we brought her to a nursing home one time, which we all thought was going to help her. It was the worst thing that ever happened. Every morning, you saw people come out in body bag. They were dying right and left. So, and my wife rang that bell to have a nurse come in. None of them are really nurses. They're sort of volunteers wearing a little pinstripe suit. The woman was right outside the door. She was on the phone with her boyfriend. My wife needed her badly. Kept on ringing that bell. The woman never left that phone. My wife had to go to the bathroom in the bed. Then they yelled at my wife. So a lot of people, they're all older people, have dementia. And I want to work with them. I want to work with kids who are autistic, who don't know, like, what do they call these children with Down syndromes? They're wonderful people. In my
Yeah.
karate, I brought them into karate events, and whether they won or not, I gave them a trophy. And the kid would and hold that trophy, and we took pictures of him, put them in all the newspapers. I think I talked too much right now, but you wanted to ask.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. And that's a really important thing to be doing. It's, life changing for a lot of those kids. And, so we kind of talked a little bit, you talked a little bit about why you're running, the things that you're passionate about, obviously. This year is a strange year. It's a strange year to be campaigning. It's a little bit different. So in this time of seclusion, how have you been reaching out to your constituents or potential constituents to get your message out?
Actually, I can't knock on doors, even wearing a mask, because you never know what you're going to walk into.
Right.
Number two, I have these signs that I made. No, I didn't make a lot of them because I don't have a lot of money. I don't have funding. I'm not working with lobbyists or any kind of backing. So I made a sign showing my in my Marine Corps uniform, and it said, "I fought for you once, before, I will do so again."
Perfect.
I put the signs up where I could. My whole house is full of signs. The thing about it is this: I don't have a team. I'm the whole team. I have a lot of people that know me because I was the karate teacher of Vermont. I mean, actually, I have 4 schools in Australia, 2 schools in Italy, 800 students in Budapest, Hungary. I've got schools in Puerto Rico. I've got thousands of students. But here in Vermont, I went all the way up from Waitsfield to Burlington, Charlotte, and I taught everywhere. Pulteney, I taught in Fairhaven and Benson School. I taught everywhere, Hinesville. So I have a lot of students. They're all grown up now, and they have children, and their children have children. I'm just hoping that they're going to come out and vote for me. So I've been writing them to vote for me, or I break their legs in this karate class.
Oh, that's a hell of a campaign pitch. I love it.
I'm very proud of them. The ones that stayed with me became special forces. There's a woman, she became an officer. I think she's a colonel now in the Air Force. She's a nurse. Um, I'm very proud of my students. Very proud. Even Robert King, who made me the karate bad guy.
Well, you should be proud of all your students, right? You raised them, taught them the right way.
The reason I did that, yes, I didn't teach them the way that most of the schools are. I taught them street fighting. I've written a number of books, and one of them is called Your Guide to Street Fighting, a Brooklyn Street Fighter's Guide, because I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and that's bad streets there. So I taught people how to walk down those bad streets, how to defend themselves, because you know what? I care. And I would say to my students, if you get into a fight and lose, it's not your fault. It's mine. I didn't teach you good enough. So I work with kids They come to me, and Ben, listen to this. The kids that come to me are gangbangers. I was a cop, an auxiliary cop. I walked the streets without a gun, just had a badge that anybody could shoot at. And I'd come up and I'd see a kid robbing a car, and I'd come up to him and tell him, listen, kid, I know that's not your car, but you're going to have to get out. Otherwise, I'm going to reenact your birth through this window. He came out, and I walked him to the police station, and I walked him into a cell, and I locked him up, and I got him a cup of coffee, and I sat there and I wrote him up, and we went the next day to the jury, which he never showed up with the judge. The point I'm trying to make is I know how to work with kids. I know how to reach them. My kids in New York are gangbangers from the Bloods and the Crips, toughest gangs you could ever hear of. But they came to me, and they're in my book, and they work out, and they're beautiful people. And some of them wear shirts that say, I'm this kid's big brother. So if a kid is getting big bullied around the school, one of the guys will stand next to him and say, I'm his brother, big brother.
It's awesome. I love it. Um,
It up is because I know how to work with the gangs here. I know who the drug dealers here. I work with Project Direction and the Odyssey House and Phoenix House. I know what they need. I know what their problem is. There's always some reason for them to take drugs and do oxycodone or whatever they're going to be doing, sniffing glue. There's always a reason. And there's things that they don't know that I'm going to teach them. Like when they buy grass, there's a difference when you get grass between Thai sticks and Colombian gold because there's a female and there's a male. And if you get the wrong one, and I'm not going to tell you because I don't want them to go out there, you'll get sick, real sick, and you could be in the hospital.
yeah, I mean, that's serious stuff for sure. One of the things that we're asking all the candidates, because to kind of get back to what some of the other things going on in the state and current events right now, because of the pandemic, the state authorities are predicting pretty massive budget shortfalls for next year and possibly even subsequent years. Have you thought at all about what the state should be doing to address some of those challenges around, the shortfall in revenue from the pandemic, whether you either need to cut spending somewhere or raise revenue in another form? Like, have you thought at all about those types of issues?
Actually, it's a no. I mean, fundraising. Listen, there's a lot of ways we could bring money into Vermont, seriously. And I know how. I really do. But I'm afraid to tell you because my competitors will use my ideas and run away with it. But I'll tell you. You remember Woodstock? You're too young to remember Woodstock.
Yeah, too young to remember it, but I know of it.
Well, you've got plenty of land out here that's got plenty of room to hold a Vermont stock. You can get a lot of very famous people to come out here, big bands, and throw a party. And the party will be just for somebody to make some donations. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. In Woodstock, nobody did any donations, but we made millions of dollars there. You can get some of the big names like John Legend and stuff like that to come out now, just like they do America's Got Talent. Bring on a big show. You'll make all the money you want in one fell swoop. That's one idea. That's just one idea. The other thing is this. Young people are leaving the state of Vermont. There's a joke about it. What's Vermont's biggest export? They said his.
Yep.
So kids do the big things because they want to get into the party scene and they want to do big things. Well, Vermont's got a lot of things too. I remember when I came here 32 years ago, I used to drive by, all I saw was stalks of corn. I don't see it anymore. I used to see lots of cows and I'd smell the cow shit. And I love that smell. I don't smell that anymore. I saw kids, young people, working on farms, milking cows and birthing cows. I only see that on TV now on Dr. Poe, on one of those shows.
Animal vet.
When I brought kids from New York to Vermont, They were in a car, and it was at dark time. I brought them up to my place, and sure enough, there was a cow, and it mooed. And the kids from New York got so frightened, they ran in the car, locked the doors, and they wouldn't come out until the next morning. They thought it was an alien. What do you, if you could take a young person and teach them how to be a farmer? Why? Don't worry about giving all kinds of degrees and all this other stuff. Let them work along with the old farmers and learn that. Let them be an apprentice. And then the monies that come in, you could share with the kid. Give them something. I believe everybody should get $15 an hour or more. I have somebody working with me now. She gets $15 an hour, and she's a nurse. She's helping me. She's a great, great, great asset. But bring in the youth. Let the young people come in, open up new businesses, open up ideas. Look, how about a school for culinary arts? You got a lot of people here that know how to cook and bake, and they hear all the time, this one's making that bread, that one. Look what happened to Thomas. Thomas's milk. They're out after all these years. What
Yep.
happened? They didn't have money. Bring kids in. Bring kids in who start new businesses on the street, have new restaurants, have new foods, have everything. You know, this one, when I first came in, there was nobody here but my wife and a couple of farmers. Then somebody came in and opened up a Chinese restaurant, and nobody knew what a Chinese person was. And everybody stood outside wondering, are they here to attack us or what? Then when the young people from Castleton went to the Chinese restaurant and started eating and taking food out, then the older people decided, well, let's try it. If these kids didn't die, we'll do it. They started eating, and before you know it, everybody's having wonton soup and chicken fried rice, and they love it. It's because something was brought in, a new culture, a new food, a new language, new music. And you could do that with so many people. I've never seen in my neighborhood an Italian restaurant. An Italian restaurant. I know there's a Greek one though, but they serve sort of Greek food. But it's good. It's good. We have restaurants here that are down to earth restaurants. They're wonderful restaurants. And if somebody could promote those restaurants and show the people from New York, from Connecticut, from Massachusetts, what we got here, they're going to come. They're going to come. Because when I went to a restaurant the first time, it was the Wheel Inn. I said, I'll take a couple of eggs over and toast and a cup of coffee. They went out in the back. It's chickens, and they got the eggs right from the chickens. And the bread, they were making bread in the back room. I mean, you talk about fresh food. You talk about great food. I've never had food like that whenever I go to the city. I don't have things like that. That's the Vermont feeling. The Vermont feeling is we're the strong little state, and we've got to do that. We are known for skiing and maple syrup and Ben and Jerry's. Both the guys came from Brooklyn, I think. But and so did Bernie Sanders. But what I'm trying to say is there are young people who have so much to offer, but they've never been given the chance. We're offering them money to come to Vermont. Community college, guy who was a tradesman who could use his hands, who's a carpenter, who's a plumber, who's an electrician, who's an air conditioning guy, a guy who could dig ditches, a laborer. All these people, they've got dirt on their hands. They're the salt of the earth, and they're Vermonters. So did I spend all the time talking?
No, no. You did hit on one of the topics that we had here on our list, which is minimum wage. Another one is paid family leave. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, kind of
Yeah,
in the same vein.
I think so. I think you should pay family leave. I know that where I work in New York, when my wife is sick, they can pay family leave. They give me, take your time, take a couple of weeks off. Then my job is always there when I come back, and get them, and they pay me.
Absolutely. What about, I know you're very passionate about education and young people. What do you think about the Vermont State College situation with some of their funding and other issues that they've been facing?
I don't want to start a fight with anybody. I know these colleges. I know some of them. Some of the colleges are calling themselves university now. I guess you heard of that.
Castleton, yeah, Castleton is calling themselves a university now.
A lot of these colleges are party schools. Kids from Connecticut, New York, wherever they come from, New Jersey, they come up here to party. I know, because I've been to some of them. The thing about it is, I don't know if they're really up here for education. They'll get a little paper that says they got a degree. I don't know what they're going to do with it. And what is the degree in? Is it anything that's going to help Vermont? No. It's going to be something that they can send back to New York, New Jersey, and work over there. What these kids need is in the summertime, put them to work. Let them help the farmer. Let them help some of the guys cutting down trees who are making, there's so much work here for young people. If young people can smell the land, can taste the fruits of this land, I don't think they'll leave. Once people come here and you say, hey, you know how to cook? There's an empty store there. Start cooking. Let's see what you can do, kid. You're an artist? Show me. You're a singer? Hey, I got a place for you to sing. Let them come and let them feel that this is their home, that this is their land, that they're being chased out. So much. I've got ideas that I wrote down, but I know the show is only 2 hours long.
Yeah, we wish it was 2 hours long. But to your point, Vermont definitely has a demographic issue. You said earlier on that, the running joke is Vermont's biggest exporters are youth, and the data backs that up. Less than a staggering number of people that graduate college here or graduate high school here don't stay here for their career. There's a whole bunch of different reasons for that. Some of which is, lack of opportunities for post-secondary education. Our continuing high school to college ratio is one of the lowest in the country. There's a lot of different pieces to that. I'm kind of curious what you think. We'll just touch on one other topic here before we start wrapping up. But I'm curious what you think of the mental health crisis that we've seen over the last few years, and we've now seen some of the designated agencies from the state partnering with police departments, for example, for de-escalation tactics when they suspect there may be a mental health issue at play. What do you think we need to do there? Like, what do you think the scale of that problem is around the state?
Okay. As a guy that used to be a cop, I said, I'm a cop or rent a cop, but I wore a badge and a uniform. I worked with a lot of mental health people. I worked with a lot of them. There's a reason that they're the way they are. You got to get to the root of their sickness. Some of them are really seen as can be. I remember going to places in the Bowery in New York where a lot of people lay in the streets. And I remember some of them would lay under a car to stay warm during the winter, and they go on a grading. And I sat there and I used to talk with them because I would always bring them coffee or a roll or something. And I would talk with them. And one of them was a doctor whose wife cheated on him, and he couldn't deal with it. And he went bonkers. One of them was in the war. He was in Vietnam, and he cracked up. And nobody could handle him because he'd go off every once in a while. And they wanted to put him in what they call a squirrel cage because they thought he was nuts. Nuts. And yet he was sitting in the street like, and he didn't want to work. He didn't want to go anywhere. He didn't feel he felt invisible. A lot of these people with mental health issues need a person whose focus is on mental health, not a cop. The cop is not going to know what to do with the guy who is acting nuts. Look what happened with that guy sleeping with Wendy, and he ran on the street and got shot in his back 14, 7 times. The whole thing about that was, why did the cop shoot him? He didn't have to.
No.
He didn't chase the guy. The guy's going to come back and get his car. The first thing I would have said to the guy who was laying there is, hey, fella, can I get you a cup of coffee? You want to ride home? I'll take you there. Then you come back the next day and get your car. I would talk to the guy. I wouldn't make it so that he's challenged and he feels that he's got to run, that he's afraid. Cops have a lot to do with protection and security of all of our people. They got a lot on their minds, and they're not all bad cops. Yeah, there's a couple, but if we're to do a community thing, like a big barbecue with everybody, bring them on. It's called PAL, Police Athletic League. Bring them on. There's an auxiliary cops. Let them join. Let them wear a uniform. People start to understand. But most of all, I think you got to get somebody, a professor or a teacher in mental health, to work with the cops and let them. They don't have to chase guys who are racing down the streets with their cars that are going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. Cops have better things to do, more important things. But anyway, I got off.
That's all right. That's all right. And we've only got about 3 minutes left, but that kind of flows right into it's hard to talk about that without talking about some of the systemic racism that we're seeing as well around the country, and the protests as well. So the corresponding like Black Lives Matter and those types of protests, and whether or not you support defunding the police. What do you think are the real issues there, and how do we address them as a country and as a community?
Do not defund the police. Work with the police. The police are there for you. What happens if you defund the police and they're not going to come out when you make a call? You need them. You need the police. You need the firemen, and you need the garbage man. As far as Black Lives Matter, if you could only understand what those 3 words mean. Everybody says, well, all lives matter. White lives matter. Hey, Bumblebee's lives matter. The ant you just stepped on, his life matters. The flowers' lives matter, and the trees. If you can't accept the fact that a Black person's life matters, then you're screwed up, boy. We're never going to get together. We're never going to have a peaceful world. Just say, yeah, I agree with your life matters as much as mine. What if you turned it around and we were putting up white lives matter because Black people wouldn't accept it? Take it. Why don't we take some of those white guys who are racists, plain English, and send them to Africa for about a month and see what it would feel like to them? The Black people have a lot to offer. They're just people. Nobody has to be born black, brown, white, yellow, red. Nobody has. And nobody has to be born white. A Catholic or Jew or transcend gender. Nobody asked for this. But whatever they are, they got to be proud of it. They got to be beautiful. They got to hold their head high, and not be afraid to walk down the street without somebody cursing them, spitting on them, or coming after them. Why can't we just walk down the street? So I'm for it. I'm for not defunding the police. I am for Black Lives Matter. I am bringing everybody together, and I'm proud to say that. And I know a lot of my dear friends are going to call me up now or put me on Facebook and say, "Ooh."
I know. Don't start the Facebook chatter going. I know. But thank you so much. I can't think of a better note to end the show on. That's I couldn't have said it any better. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you our viewers for being here as well and for watching. And stay tuned until next week. Keep listening beyond the sound bites.